Welcome to the TPC Desktop video series on getting started. In this video, we're going to take a look at checking our closure. In the last video, we entered this lot data. We created a traverse for it called deed data. We entered the courses for this starting at 10,000, 10,000. And I'm going to put up the lot name here just by double-clicking anything that's actually drawn here, a line or a label. Let's go to lot labels. Let's tell Traverse PC we want the name, the square feet, and the acres, and choose OK. So now we've got deed data, the square feet and acres in our drawing here. We want to take a look at checking the closure for this traverse. We entered all of the traverse data, so we have all that data still here. And I'm going to close that out and highlight the deed data and come up to our Windows Manager, and here's the closure view. So I can choose it from the menu. It's also available right here from the navigation bar. And it says, open the closure view for the highlighted traverse, which is the deed data. So let's go ahead and open that closure view and just bring it over here where we can see it. Let's stop for a minute and just look here. The closure view is really a snapshot. It's a snapshot of the traverse as it exists right now. So I've got the date, I've got the units, I know I'm working in grid distance, grid bearing, and then I've got a traverse summary here that repeats for me the same areas that I've got here, the 44,014 square feet, 1.01 acres. Gives me some information about it being a closed loop and how many points are in it. Then I come down and I've got an error summary, which tells me my linear error and whether or not I closed on that one. Remember, I was just entering information off of a deed, and then some information about my closing points down here. I'll remove that rectangular limit since we don't need to have that. We're not doing PLSS stuff here. Now, I want you to notice that Traverse PC told us this is a closed loop. And because it's a closed loop, it computed an area. If this had been a closed point-to-point or an open traverse, like a center line alignment, I wouldn't get an area for it. I get an area because it's a closed loop. Well, Traverse PC set this automatically for me based on something called the tolerance. So I'm going to open my program settings, and I'm going to click on the tolerance tab. And I want you to notice this number right here, this closed loop. This tells Traverse PC that if I enter a traverse and I come back or close back on the start of that traverse within 1% of the total distance, so my linear error, the amount of misclosure, is within 1% of the total distance around that traverse, go ahead and call it a closed loop. So this is something that happens automatically for me for this traverse. And if I were to come up and edit the closure settings, I would see that Traverse PC had automatically set that to a closed loop for me. So it's just a nice little thing that Traverse PC does, and just keeps me from having to set that setting for each traverse as I enter it. Now, because this is a getting started video, I want to just real quickly introduce you to a couple of things that you might do and things to look for here inside of this. I want you to notice that the traverse summary in the closure view has given me my areas. And I'm also seeing those areas in the drawing because I told it to label that lot. I want to show you a third way we can display the area of this lot, and I'm also going to include the linear error as well. Let's come back to our Traverse Manager, and let's use that format view. Remember we did this in the Traverse view to change the columns? I'm going to do it in this view to change the information I'm displaying. And I'm going to change this to NAE pound. So the A is acres, the E is linear error, and the pound is simply the number of points in there. So now Traverse PC has said, I've got 1.01 acres in this traverse and a linear error of 0.01 feet. So I get the same information in the Traverse Manager that I have in the closure view and the drawing view. That's just really a neat way to see how Traverse PC exposes the same survey data differently in each of the views. And it's really kind of your preference as to how you want to keep track of those and which views you want to use to check for area and check for closure.